Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today, and especially happy to be able to discuss this particular subject with everyone in the room. It's very clear, as was just mentioned, that the world is on fire, and food now takes the front page of every newspaper and takes the lead on many stories on many national networks around the world. I'm grateful for that, but I'm also sad for that, because that means we're in trouble. President Massa, thank you for inviting me to take part in these discussions today. They come at a critically important time for the Asia and Pacific region. As the impacts of climate change and biodiversity loss fuel hunger in a number of countries across the region, it's vital that we all come together to find common solutions. With effective collaboration, we can improve long-term food security and strengthen food systems. But it requires a shift in investment priorities, one that lays strong foundations for more sustainable and resilient systems of food production and distribution in the face of these growing threats. This shift also needs greater coordination between governments and international financial institutions and other development partners. It also needs strong leadership at the national level, and it requires more joint analysis and a common set of data metrics to track and assess the progress being made. This task is more urgent than ever. The world is facing an unparalleled hunger crisis fueled by conflict, COVID-19 aftershocks, and the accelerating climate crisis. At the World Food Program, we see the impact of this crisis everywhere we work, including here in the APAC region, in the 17 countries where we have operations. Many of these nations are gripped by concurrent and long-term crises that will continue to fuel humanitarian needs for years to come. But this is happening just as funding for relief operations is drying up. In recent months, WFP has been forced to make the painful decision to cut rations for millions of vulnerable people, including 10 million people just in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, this is happening right across the humanitarian system. For aid agencies, this is our new operating environment. It's our new normal. This is why we must invest in programs to address the root causes of hunger and strengthen food systems, especially in those countries which now find themselves on the front lines of climate change. So I congratulate the ADB on its plans to allocate at least $34 billion for climate adaptation between now and 2030. WFP hopes that a significant portion of these funds will be invested in programs to support smallholder farming communities so they get the tools and resources they need to adopt climate-smart food production techniques. Post-harvest food loss is another area that's ripe for investment as part of the comprehensive strategy to maximize food production in our warming world. And small outlays can make a real difference. WFP runs programs with smallholders where we provide equipment and teach them storage techniques so their crops stay fresh until they are ready to be sold. I'm proud to say that we have reduced post-harvest losses by up to 98% among the farmers that we have trained. We consider that all the food produced in the world, around 40% of it goes to waste. Tackling this issue would transform long-term food security among the most vulnerable communities here in Asia and also around the globe. When investing in food systems, we also need to ensure an increased focus on nutrition-related outcomes. Rural communities across Asia are experiencing concerning rates of malnutrition and micronutrient deficiencies. Lifestyle changes are a factor, along with difficulty accessing a sufficiently wide range of nutritious foods. In an area that needs specific attention, adequate nutrition is absolutely essential for children. That's why I'm such a passionate advocate for school feeding programs, which ensure young people get the healthy food they need to nourish their minds and their bodies. These programs also support smallholder farmers, create jobs, and benefit entire communities. So investing in nutrition really does mean investing in the future economic growth of your nation. Excellencies, WFP is proud of our thriving partnership with the Asia Development Bank, which has grown considerably just in the past 4 years. Today, we are working together in countries across the region, including Afghanistan, Myanmar, Nepal, and of course right here in the Philippines. We're also planning to partner together in a number of other countries in the period ahead. But I believe there is still more that we can do together. The ADB, WFP, and governments across the APAC region. If we leverage each other's expertise and step up our partnerships, we can ensure that investments in ending hunger and strengthening food systems against the impacts of climate change are used to provide swift and effective support to the people most in need. WFP stands ready to lend our deep operational expertise and reach in support of this critically important agenda. We're here to help you, your governments, and your citizens. With determination, innovation, and above all, cross-sectoral collaboration, we can and we must rise to the collective challenge and bring new hope to vulnerable communities all across Asia. Thank you for having me.
Well, WFP is in the frontier in fighting hunger. Every day they deliver so much food to the people in need. Afghanistan, Gaza, or the war areas in Ukraine. So thank you for your leadership. But in the meantime, the WFP also transformed itself to a more development agency, so building resilience for smallholders, help to improve nutrition of many children, women, and the people who are really micronutrient deficient. We call it hidden hunger. And this is actually quite prevalent in the region. So thank you, Executive Director McCain. So our next speaker is Chu Dongyu, FAO Director General. Unfortunately, he cannot be here in person. So we will play his video message from him. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to start by conveying my appreciation to the President of the Asian Development Bank, His Excellencies Masatsugu Asakawa, for the fruitful collaboration between our two organizations in addressing the complex challenges of the global food insecurity, the impact of the climate crisis, and the biodiversity losses in the Asia-Pacific region. Over the past 20 years, the economies of many nations in the region have been moving out of the category of the least developed and graduate into a middle-income status. However, this positive change are not happening at the same time equally across all the countries or even equitably within them. This situation needs to be addressed urgently. In 2022, around 735 million people faced hunger globally. This is an increase of the 122 million than in 2019, before the pandemic. Over 3.1 billion population, that is 42% of world populations, were unable to afford a health net. Despite the notable progress, hunger persists in some parts of the Asia-Pacific region, where nearly half of the world undernourished population live, and nearly 2 billion people cannot afford a health care. Rural and coastal communities, small-scale farmers, and agri-food system workers, particularly women and youth, are disproportionately affected by these multi-dimensional challenges. Our agri-food system, as currently structured, contributes to the environmental degradation, greenhouse gas emissions, and biodiversity loss, among others. Further aggravated by the impact of the climate crisis, thereby negatively impacting the livelihood of the most vulnerable. For this reason, we need to transform them urgently because they also offer a huge opportunity to increase the efficiencies, to produce more with less, and to ensure the right to the food to all. To achieve this, it is critical that the climate finance in agri-food systems be substantially increased. Yet, on the contrary, the current share of total climate finance flows allocated to the agri-food system is declining, with a decrease from the 34% in 2010 to only 20% in 2021. And only 1.7% of the global climate finance goes to the smallholder farmers, fish farmers, headers, and forest people in the developing nations. Despite their disproportionate vulnerability to the climate crisis. To address these challenges, we must urgently transform the region and the global agri-food system to be more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable. Ladies and gentlemen, scaling up investment and targeted financing to generate impact at scale is critical to drive the innovation, science, and technology, foster sustainability, and promote the inclusive growth throughout agri-food value chains. We must also take urgent action to ensure the sustainable management and the use of our shared natural resources, biodiversity, restore ecosystem, increase climate action, both in terms of adaptation and mitigation. Together with partners, FAO has implemented several coordinated projects aimed at supporting the transformation of agri-food system in the Asia-Pacific region. This includes a roadmap to the global biodiversity framework targeted to ensure the proper planning and reporting on ecosystem restoration efforts. The National Water Roadmap initiative supports developing countries ensure the sustainable water management. At COP28, FAO launched the Global Roadmap for achieving SDG 2 without breaching the 1.5 degrees C threshold. That underscores the critical need to prioritize the agri-food system, not only to ensure the food security, but also to reduce the burden on the nature and the climate, while the exploring increase the climate financing. And FAO is co-leading the Global Environment Facility Clean and Healthy Oceans Integrated Program, a source to sea initiative that will direct over $100 million in the grant to help the countries curb land-based pollution and improve the coastal environments and larger marine ecosystems, together with the Asian Development Bank and other financial institutions. In the Asia-Pacific region, we are supporting the countries to access climate finance through the projects such as the Scaling Up Climate Ambition on land use and agriculture through the nationally determined contributions and the national adaptation plans that supports the increased action to cope with the impact of the climate crisis in the agriculture and land use sectors. FAO flagship initiatives such as 1,000 Digital Village, the Hand in Hand initiative, and One Country, One Priority products aim to eradicate hunger and poverty, promote equality, and encouraging the wider participation of the women and youth. Gender transformative actions and youth empowerment are equally crucial aspects of our agenda. And we must recognize the unique context of the region's small island development state, SEAs. And at FAO, we are working with these countries to implement anticipatory action against the multiple hazards and risks they face. Central to all this effort is need for national ownership and commitment. Countries must take the lead, aligning political willingness with the concrete actions and adequate funding. Dear colleagues, FAO and Asia Development Bank's partnership span over 55 years. Recently, our collaboration has focused on supporting the fragile and conflict-affected countries such as Afghanistan. Going forward, our partnership will be even stronger, supporting public and private investment in the region. In 2023 alone, the FAO Investment Center supported the design of 18 public investment projects financed by our partners, international financial institutions, in 9 countries in the region. Collaboration across sectors with multiple partners and across the geographic regions is necessary to address the complex global challenges efficiently, effectively, and coherently. We should draw inspiration from the dynamic change occurring in the Asia-Pacific region, where the region's economies are progressing despite the persistent challenges, and of the hope for a bright future. Together, we can achieve a better production, better nutrition, a better environment, a better life, leaving no one behind. Thank you.